Welcome to the first part of the 2023 All Saints Church Annual Meeting, where I never, actually when I got here, thought I would say it's good to be in person, and it is so good to have this meeting in person. We called this meeting to order at the 7:30 service. You're not going to hear a huge amount from me at this time because my sermon for both the 7:30 and the 10 o'clock, that's where you'll find the rector's address. But right now I just want to gather us in prayer. God dwells in you. Let us pray. Holy and loving God, giver of all good gifts, we thank you for the gift you give us when you give us to each other in your church. We ask you to energize us, to inspire us. We ask you to be present with us and heal us. We ask you to be among us as a spirit of wisdom and compassion, and help us to hear your still small voice in our hearts, in the spaces between words, and on the lips of one another. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So it is good that we are here, this used to be, in years past, kind of a command performance for all the staff, and there was something really good about that, because you got to see all the staff and everything that they were doing, and part of especially what's happened in the last 3 years is your staff has worked so hard. And I especially think about, everyone, but like all the hourly employees and the admins and the building and grounds. And so I told them, look, if you want to sleep in this morning, you can, but we do have some staff here. Can we have, I know our clergy staff is here. Can you all just stand up? And can we just thank Sally Howard, Alfredo Ferragrino, Mark Chase, and then seriously, Keith Holman is here, Manny Carrillo is here. Melissa Hayes is around here somewhere. We have such a phenomenal staff, and if you do one thing today as you run into a staff member, please just say thank you. A building and grounds person, just anyone, just please say, introduce yourself, learn their name if you don't know it already, and just say thank you, because they all have job descriptions, and then they all do work that is just in the moment, just so much more than that. And it's not just what they do, it's the joy with which they do it. And so just thank you all so much. I want to introduce, and this is the last time I get to introduce her with this title, and so I want you to thank her too. This is being senior warden of All Saints Church ain't never just a walk in the park. But yeah, Monique's laughing real hard at that one. But especially in pandemic times, there are new challenges. And I just want to say we have been led so wonderfully for the past year by Julianne Hines, the senior warden. So as she comes up, can we please just welcome and thank Julianne?
Good morning, everyone. So, last year, I came before you and I shared 3 themes that would really be the focus of this year that we've now experienced. So today I want to revisit those 3 themes and really talk about all that we have accomplished together, because it takes all of us, everybody who's here, everybody who's streaming, all of us. The first was restarting well and coming through, I'm not going to say out of, but through the pandemic, dealing with the trauma of all of the previous and ongoing environment that we are existing in. And as part of restarting and resetting, one of the things we did is we reorganized our children, youth, and families team with Nina Scherer on staff as our youth minister and bringing on Aaron Martinez as our associate director of children, youth, and family programming. We've made great strides in elevating the participation of our children and our youth in so many aspects of our worship and our church life together, and that will continue to grow. Jenny Tisi redesigned and reorganized our in-person children and youth choir offerings, and they have led to some of the most phenomenal and beautiful worship that we've experienced this year. And speaking of worship, Wei Chung Zhao, Grace Chung, and Melissa Hayes have done incredibly creative work with our choirs and our liturgy this year, And while the All Saints service and the Christmas services were spectacular, I have to say I think my favorite service this year was the Halloween service. It was a lot of fun. We've brought in Verna Zamora to oversee our buildings and grounds and set Veronica Flores free to really beef up the filming opportunities here at All Saints Church. And I believe we doubled our initial budget estimate for outside filming income. So she's done a phenomenal job. Which leads us to the financial aspects of our church. This year, Rick Felton came on board as the interim director of giving and stewardship and kept us on track during this year's pledge campaign. He has been a blessing to us. We also contracted with Erin Sacco Pineda and her company to help clean up and manage our financial structures. With the help of our phenomenal treasurer, Karen Meyer, and the administrative expertise of Sally Howard, our financial structures and processes have come so far, and we are on a solid track to having an incredibly clear, clean, and effective financial system going well into the service. This year will serve us for years to come in regards to the financial structures of our church. Last year, I also talked about our strategic directions work, which you'll get an update on in just a bit, so I won't go into it. But I do want to mention one of my favorite things that came out of this work already so far, and that is the beginning formation of the Asian Pacific Islander American community. What an amazing and faithful group of All Saints parishioners, and I'm so proud to be on this beginning journey with them. The second theme that I said we would share this year was a focus on healing and on connection, and the need to re-identify what connection looks like for our church. Our move to an early morning service and one late morning service has opened up the opportunity for community building services after church, community building activities after church. The Latin hours, other festivities have led to incredibly rich community building opportunities that have just enlivened the spirit of our congregation. I want to particularly thank Alfredo Ferragrino and Thomas Diaz and all of those who've worked so diligently on those efforts. Alfredo also started Escuela para Ministerios en Español this year, an immersive theological experience in partnership with the Diocese of Oregon. This opportunity reaches far beyond the front doors of All Saints, and we're fortunate that it began here. We also have a deep, deep bench when it comes to healing and connection here at All Saints. The Pastoral Care Congregational Development Team, the Community Care Alliance, small groups, ministry leaders, and our incredible staff provide so many necessary and creative ways for us to come together, reaching towards our goal of beloved community. So let's just thank them for that work. Speaking of beloved community, the third aspect of the work that we talked about for this year was racial justice. And again, I'll reiterate, racial justice is the work of our generation. We must confront and continue to root out and eliminate a culture of white supremacy and patriarchy. Under the leadership of our Associate Rector, Mark Chase, we engaged with the Center for Racial Reconciliation this year as a faith-based partner in education around racial justice, and we'll continue to work with them and with CCEJ on trainings and deep, deep discussions in how we will continue to live into our values of radical inclusion and courageous justice. So much work has been done in our Telling the Whole Story groups, and I'm not going to talk about it because you're going to hear about it in just a few minutes, but it's really been incredible. We've had really amazing forums throughout this year, and I just particularly want to highlight the forums that we've had recently, forums that highlighted the disparities in housing for communities of color, and joyfully looking at Afrofuturism these past few weeks. I know a collaboration of Mark Chase and our former senior warden, Monique Thomas, who brilliantly facilitated those conversations. So if you haven't seen last week's forum, I'm going to tell you it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, go watch it. It's life-changing, really amazing stuff. And so finally, I want to highlight our collaboration with Prism Restorative Justice. While we joyfully support the loving spiritual care that's taken into the prisons, this year we had the opportunity to extend that care here on campus, welcoming members who've completed their sentences and are able to join us here in our services through the forum and formally welcoming them into our church services, literally being at the table with us. I have so much gratitude to Ann Noble and to Sharon Crandall for bringing us into this ministry. Let's just thank them. So I've covered a little bit of what we've been doing this year to give you a sense, but there are so many wonderful, impactful things happening here at All Saints Church that I can't possibly name them all. Mike would pull me off the stage and say, it's time for church, we gotta go. So I apologize that I absolutely am sure I haven't mentioned your favorite ministry or your favorite activity, but I want to tell you we value them all so much, and we just thank every one of you who've put so much heart and soul into making all of our life here at All Saints happen. And while I can't name every single person that has impacted our community, I'm going to take the liberty for two groups that I really want to recognize right now. We have such a committed and deeply loving staff here at All Saints. They are doing the difficult work of honoring a rich, vibrant history while transforming our church into what God is calling us to become. And they do it while laughing and caring for us in such a generous way. Will you please join me in thanking our amazing staff? And then we come to our vestry. Our vestry has been incredible. Navigating through an uncertain time in the history of our world, questioning, debating, doing the deep thinking required during such times of change, and ultimately trusting that God has brought us all forward for such a time as this. And particularly, I want to thank our incredible junior warden, Risa Worthy-Deemer, who is brilliant and who is loving, which surprises no one. But please join me in thanking all of these people for the work that they've done this year. And now I turn to a specific group of people on vestry, and that is the class of 2023 who have served so well and fully. I'm going to begin with our youth members, with Ava King. Ava, wave so everybody can see you. Ava has served on vestry for the past 2 years. She has served on the Children's, Youth, and Family Committee, helped plan the 2022 Vestry Staff Conference, and came up with some of the most fun things that we did at the conference. And she participated in the hiring process for the CYF Assistant Director. Ava has been a strong leadership voice on vestry, offering creative ideas and perspectives, and frequently asking questions that helped us to take a step back and identify and make sure that we were moving forward in a way that's consistent with our values. She's rolling off of vestry this year as she graduates high school, and we wish her all the best on her next new adventure. Ava King. Lola Pignon, who is unable to be here with us today. Lola was appointed to serve on the Children, Youth, and Families Committee as well. In addition to vestry, she has been very active in the All Saints Youth Choirs and has a passion for children's rights. You're waving at me, is she here? Oh, okay, I thought Alfredo was signaling me. We're looking forward to hearing really great things about Lola in the future. I know she has a bright future ahead of her, and we wish her all the best as she goes on to the next chapter in her life. Thank you, Lola. Patricia Coulter, there she is. Pat, stand. Pat is a member of the Peace and Justice Ministry and has been involved with the Racial Justice Advisory Board and the Racial Justice Ministry prior to and throughout her term on the vestry. She's facilitated an RJAB retreat, was a speaker for an MLK program, worked with the writers of the Racial Justice Resolution, and leveraged her work in the League of Women Voters, presenting to the Racial Justice Ministry regarding voting and getting out the vote in Black and Brown communities. She was an active, she was an active and valued voice in the DEI work that we've done over the past several years. Her rich leadership experience and compassionate wisdom has been incredibly valuable on vestry, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have worked with her. Pat Coulter. Kimberly Farnham, who I believe is not with us today, but Kimberly has been a jack of all trades throughout her time on vestry. She served on the Congregational Development Committee, the Vestry RJAB Working Group, the group that originally helped create the Safe Haven program, as a member of the Winter Shelter Task Force, as a leadership support and development leader, and she's also been a leader in the 20s, 30s ministry and serves as a youth group volunteer. Though Kimberly has been active in many diverse areas of the church, I think my colleagues on the vestry would agree that Kimberly is the ultimate advocate for our youth. Her enthusiasm and encouragement for our youth is always front and center, making sure that we're uplifting the voice, perspectives, and needs of our amazing youth. We're gonna miss her, but we love her. Thank you, Kimberly. And our other Kimberly, Kimberly Hudson. Kimberly has been so committed to All Saints Church and to the vestry that she's continued to actively participate and serve, even though she moved halfway across the country in the midst of the pandemic. So she doesn't even live here anymore, but she's still a leader of our church. She is a former chair of the Finance Committee, and she continues to be a strong presence in that committee. She served on the Wardens Planning Task Force, the Strategic Futures Planning Committee, and as chair of the Women's Community. Her infectious good humor and keen business mind have been a steadying force as we navigated some of the most uncertain moments in the early days of the pandemic, and I'm deeply grateful for her leadership. Eddie King. Eddie King is with us here right there. It feels like such an understatement to say that Eddie has served on the Buildings and Grounds Committee. He truly helps the vestry to understand the work needed on our campus and what we need to be focused on, and I've come to rely deeply on his insight. He's also contributed his own talents in so many ways, from helping out with our playground to conceiving of and building the Through Line, which is on the southwest corner of our campus. That has really been a balm and a healing space, not just for us here at All Saints Church, but really for the greater Pasadena community. But when we talk about Eddie's greatest contribution to All Saints Church, I really have a preference in saying that his greatest contribution to All Saints has been his daughter, Ava. Thank you, Eddie. Elizabeth Lashley Haynes, who is unable to be here today. Elizabeth has served on the Peace and Justice Committee, and she co-chairs the Youth Group Dinner Committee. She has brought a unique perspective to the vestry as a public defender and is always ready to bring her personal experience to the table as we have dealt with some extremely difficult and nuanced issues over the past several years. She's helped to bring leading legal voices to All Saints, and she also made the courageous choice to run for public office as a judge this past year. And while she didn't win her race, she won our hearts, and we are so proud of what she accomplished and the voices that she made heard throughout her work this past year. So thank you, Elizabeth. And finally, our former senior warden, Juan Mejia, who is homesick with a cold, but who promised me he would be streaming. So hello, Juan. As Juan rolls off the vestry, he does so with an impressive legacy of work and accomplishments. In addition to being senior warden, he helped create and lead the Wardens Planning Task Force and has served on the Peace and Justice Committee, the Personnel Committee, the Immigration Task Force, several vestry nominating committees, several committees for the rector's annual review, and has served on not one, but 2 search committees for associate rectors, which led to the hiring of both Sally and Alfredo. Juan served as our senior warden when the pandemic first hit and will likely go down in All Saints history as the only senior warden who never presided over a vestry meeting in person. I've counted on Juan as a trusted advisor, a valued friend, and someone who just always can make me laugh. So thank you so much to Juan Mejia. This has been a wonderfully impactful class with a long legacy that you leave behind you, and you better not go very far. But if you can all please join me in showing our gratitude to these wonderfully dedicated leaders and thanking them for their service over the past 4 years. And with that, I will turn this over to Risa.
Thank you, Julianne. The Vestry Nominating Committee annually elects 8 parishioners to the vestry, 2 youth and 6 adult members. We started working on this back in October and take this job very seriously. On your agenda, you will see the retiring vestry members, clergy, and church leaders that served on this committee, and my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of them. The nominating committee ensures we have a pool of people who have seen the candidates in action and know what kind of leaders we need to govern the church. It is a challenging assignment because our faith community is blessed to have congregation members with a surfeit of talent and expertise. After much work, prayer, and powerful deliberation, we came up with a marvelous slate for the class of 2027. We have a few people that are absent, and as I call your name, please stand or wave. Greg Adams. Greg has been at All Saints for over 30 years and was returning to the vestry where he previously served as junior and senior warden. Greg is the chair and chief executive officer of Kaiser Foundation Health Plan and Hospitals, where he has been a key leader in driving the organization's mission of providing high-quality, affordable health care and coverage, strengthening the culture, and ensuring Kaiser Permanente continues to be a great place to work. His son Jeffrey was raised at All Saints. He has previously participated on the Rector's Search Committee, Finance Committee, Diocesan Standing Committee, chair of the planning for the 1 p.m. service, and small group leader. Jonathan Barry. Has been a member of All Saints for 20 years, along with his wife Kimberly and children Hannah and Zion. He is a musician and music educator, operating a studio in downtown Pasadena where he produces music, records as a session musician, teaches a diverse group of private students. He also lends his gift as an instructor to the California School of Arts guitar program and Pasadena Conservatory of Music's community outreach program. Jonathan serves on the CYF committee, is an acolyte coordinator, Our Whole Lives OWL instructor, Children's Chapel volunteer, and has been a special guest musician at All Saints. Blaine Kavanaugh. Blaine and his wife, Virginia, who is a cradle Episcopalian, are Pasadena natives and alumni of local public schools and have been attending All Saints, where they were married for over 20 years. After 41 years in technical sales and consulting with IBM, Blaine retired in 2019. A scout leader, later scoutmaster, for 2 decades, he continues to serve the community as a board member and the treasurer of the West Pasadena Residents Association. For many years, Blaine, in partnership with Zelda Kennedy and then Sally Howard, oversaw the pastoral care ministries and was one of the founders of the lay counseling ministry. He currently is the member of the PACES core team, a reader, and the fire builder for the Ash Wednesday and Easter Vigil ceremonies. Al Hughes. And his wife, Mary Lee, made All Saints their home parish following his retirement and former leadership roles in previous parishes in New York City and Encino, California. He is a retired regional manager in the restaurant industry. Al currently sings in the bass section of Coventry Choir, where he serves as choir president, planning choir parties and retreats, coordinating often with clergy, music admin, and buildings and grounds staff. He has also assisted with parish celebrations, homecoming, and Shrove Tuesday events. Kathy Kaag, who could not be here with us today, but I heard that she is on Zooming. So, hi, Kathy. Kathy has been at All Saints for over 30 years and is returning to the vestry where she formerly served as junior warden and senior warden. Married to Jim Hayes, she is recently retired from California State Senate office. Kathy currently serves on the Finance Committee and over the years has been involved with Women's Council, Covenant Class, and was a founding member of the Transformational Journeys Committee, the Labyrinth Committee, and the Leadership Project. Anne Marette Vera. She's not here today. Okay. She couldn't make it this morning. Is a former youth member of the congregation who currently volunteers with the youth ministry. Anne Marette has been at All Saints for almost 20 years, along with her family, Martha Matthews and Yolanda Vera, who are former Sunday school teachers and a former vestry member. She is currently completing her last year at Pasadena City College before transferring to the University of California and is working at REI Burbank. Anne Marette currently serves as a volunteer for the All Saints Church Youth Group program and was previously an active member of the youth group choir, including attending and helping organize students at the March of Our Lives, and has been a guest youth preacher at All Saints. Rainer Colombo. Is a youth member of All Saints Church and currently in 10th grade. He is a member of the youth group and Discord and has been a member of Youth Council, Seekers, and has served as a reader in All Saints Church services. He has a passion for sustainability and the environment and loves taking care of his garden. Eliza Lemoyne. Is a youth member of All Saints Church and currently in the 10th grade. She is a member of Trouvers, Chamber Choir, Acolytes, and Youth Group. She has served as a guest preacher and reader at All Saints. Eliza loves to make music and read. And now over to our rector for the vote.
So first of all, I want to join Risa in thanking the great work of the nominating committee. You have a fantastic slate. There was a period inviting nominations from the community. We got none. And so we have the joy of being able to do this election by acclamation. And so all in favor signify by your applause. And to those of you coming on, thank you so much for your willingness to serve. This is, it's an offering of your time and your lived expertise, and it is deeply appreciated by me and by the whole church. Thank you all very much.
Our next piece of business is to elect our delegates for the annual diocesan convention. As members of the Episcopal Diocese of Los Angeles, All Saints is eligible to elect 6 lay leaders and delegates for the annual diocesan convention that takes place in November of every year. And the following individuals make up the slate that the vestry has approved for nomination: Blaine Kavanaugh, Thomas Diaz, Julianne Hines, Crystal Jones, Tim Stratz, and Risa Worthy-Deemer. May I have a motion to accept the vestry's recommendation? May I have a second? Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you and congratulations to the delegates.
So we have some really important updates, and time is an abstract construct, and there's nothing that is written in stone that says that the principal service has to start exactly at 10. So because these are important, we're going to bump the start of the 10 o'clock service to 10:15, so we can spend the time we need to spend in here and give this the full hour, frankly, that we probably should have anticipated that it needed. So the wheels are turning out there to make that happen. So if you're looking at your watch wondering how are we going to get this into 15 minutes, don't worry, we're not. And really excited and grateful to introduce Tony Jackson. Tony talk about someone with lived expertise in strategic direction and strategic planning. Tony, you have offered so much wisdom, and Tony has this incredible gift of synthesis. Of listening deeply to diverse groups of people, synthesizing it into a vision, and then presenting it back saying, have I heard correctly? That is such an important piece of leadership, and we're so blessed by you, Tony, and looking forward to you giving us an update on where we are with strategic direction. Tony Jackson.
Morning, folks. In 2021, the rector and the vestry of All Saints Church created a Strategic Directions Committee. And the purpose of the committee was, first, to listen and to solicit the needs and future aspirations of the members of All Saints Church. And then, based on the various ambitions and dreams expressed by the congregation, the committee was asked to discern a few North Star goals which would guide our church into the future. And as intended by the vestry, these goals would span 3 years from January 2024 to December 2026. So essentially, the committee's task was to ask, how can we better live into our shared values of radical inclusion, courageous justice, joyful spirituality, and ethical stewardship? And based on the answers we heard, to illuminate a few specific directions for growth that would build on our existing efforts and publicly communicate in broad terms how we as a collective body of Christ want our church to be different by December 2026. Since its inception, the Strategic Directions Committee has advanced several fact-finding activities to gather information from you and our community friends as well on how we can better live into our shared values. And the first of these endeavors was an online survey open to all parishioners. The committee then conducted a series of listening sessions led by the rector to receive the perspectives of community leaders from diverse nonprofit and faith-based organizations. Our analysis of these two data sets revealed several consistent patterns which we reported to the vestry and to the congregation early last year. Next, based on these identified patterns and frequently mentioned dreams, the committee organized and conducted online and in-person listening forums in October 2022, inviting members of All Saints Church to offer even more in-depth thoughts about our future growth. Forums were open to everyone, and each one focused on 2 or more of our core values. And in addition to the all-call forums, if you will, we had additional forums that were for affinity groups, if you will, within the church, the staff, choir, 20s and 30s, and so on, to make sure we were hearing from a broad representation of the congregation. And another round of listening forums were conducted for members of racial, ethnic, and other historically marginalized groups to, again, ensure we're hearing from everyone and to provide a safe space for folks to express their perspectives. At the conclusion of the fact-finding efforts, the committee worked as a whole and broke into subcommittees as well to do what we were asked to do, to discern a set of goals to guide the church over the next 3 years. And these goals are contained in a draft final report that will go to the Strategic Directions Committee itself in the next week or so for its final approval. And once approved, the committee's final report will be sent to the vestry, hopefully by the end of the month. Now, I can't get into the goals right now since they need to be in the report that goes to the vestry first. But what I can say is there is a sense within the committee that the congregation of All Saints Church holds a deeply felt aspirational vision of our future, a vision that will easily extend well beyond the 3-year horizon of the goals. And what we found was this, that All Saints seeks to be a church of uncompromising equality, where each of us is represented, is respected, is valued, and loved unconditionally, and connected to each other in authentic relationships. We aspire to be a church of relentless activism, where each of us, as we are able, is deeply engaged in bringing justice to our community and to the world. And we seek to be a church of radical welcome, a place of sacred physical and virtual gathering spaces open to all, and a church where each of us seeks to learn how best to embody our core values and act upon them in our personal lives. So the goals described in our final report will align with these aspirations so that they essentially represent attainable milestones along the path these aspirations would take us. Also in our report, after each goal, the committee offers potential strategies or action objectives to achieve that goal. In other words, for each goal, we've provided a set of options or suggestions coming directly from you, the congregation, and we offer these to the vestry as a kind of starting point for what must come next, and that is to translate the goals into specific action steps, timelines, budgets, and metrics to assess progress over the next 3 years. Our report to the vestry represents the final deliverable of the Strategic Directions Committee. In its final section, the committee offers several suggestions that we believe are required to actually achieve the goals. And I won't go into all of them, but suffice it to say that these goals, that if these goals are accepted and endorsed as those that will indeed give the church guidance over its work over the next 3 years, it will be imperative to very quickly establish an ongoing strategic planning process to prioritize, plan, monitor, and assess the impact of specific activities and projects intended to achieve the goals. And let me emphasize that this will need to be an ongoing process. The 3 goals and the options for actions provided for each of them reflect the will of the congregation. This is the work that the people of our church have said that we are being called to do. And as such, they're much too important to be a kind of one-off endeavor. So in that light, in our report, we'll invite the vestry to consider institutionalizing the role of routinely and regularly assessing our progress in meeting these goals by creating a set of permanent working committees comprised of vestry members, staff, and clergy members, as well as members of the congregation. And these committees would be dedicated to prioritizing, planning, monitoring, and assessing the impact of projects and activities enacted to achieve these North Star goals. Let me just finish by simply offering a very sincere thank you to all of the members of the Strategic Directions Committee. This was a great group of people who worked hard and long over the past 2 years to successfully achieve what we set out to do. And to you, and for that, I'm enormously grateful. Thank you.
One of the things, again, thank you so much to Tony and to everyone who served on that. One of the things that you're going to hear a lot of is we've had a lot of work that we've been doing over the last couple of years that is coming to a conclusion, and that we're reaching a hinge moment where the results of that work are going to be in front of us, and we're going to be challenged to some really exciting action and really living into who we believe God is calling us to be. Another piece of this is our Telling the Whole Story groups. And this started a couple years ago, and we are called to be ministers of reconciliation. Reconciliation is a ministry that God gives us, and that is taking a broken world and standing in the breach and bringing things together. And reconciliation is actually a sacramental process in the church, and it has steps. There's sort of an app for that. And the stages are first self-examination. And that first step is not just looking deeply in ourselves, and it is doing that, but it's also listening deeply out in the world. How have our actions or inactions impacted others? And what can we learn from those? And then there is confession. And confession is saying, wow, after we've done this listening and this looking in the mirror, where is the sin? And sin is a word that has been weaponized so awfully. And really what it means is, where have we broken relationship with God, with each other, with creation, with ourselves? Where is the wound? Where is the wound? And when we have wounded others, it is particularly important for us to listen to others. Tell us if we've gotten that right. If Julianne punches me in the face, and then Julianne says the wound is, oh, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, I'm saying, no, you broke my nose. And so we need to do, it's an ongoing dynamic process of relationship. And then there's reparation and repair. What can be done to repair the damage? And sometimes it can be done and sometimes it can't. And again, it's up to the ones who were wounded to really say, does this do it? Then there's amendment of life, which says, how are we going to live differently so we can try not to do this again? And then there's absolution, and we declare that we are God's beloved community and that we are one. The telling the whole story groups are just stage one. It is that process of listening and self-examination to say, can we tell? Really, it's kind of a misnomer because you can never tell the whole story about anything. But can we tell enough of the story that we get a sense of our history and its impact? And we have two groups, and I want to invite Hannah Earnshaw up here first to talk about the first of these groups. And that's a group that has looked about telling the whole story of the land that we occupy.
So with our lovely church sanctuary building approaching 100 years old this year, it can be easy to forget that it has not been there forever, and that All Saints has not been on this land forever. And so the job of the Telling the Whole Story group dedicated to the land has really been to look at the story of how did All Saints get here on this land, and going right back to the beginning of who did this land belong to first. This story spans from the indigenous Tongva people who lived here first, and moves through how they used the land and what their relationship with the land was, and then how things changed with the arrival of the Spanish missions, how that then affected the people and the land itself, and then how the land was passed through different groups of people, from the Spanish to the Mexicans to the American arrivals, how this land became Pasadena, and then how All Saints started, the various pieces of land where not only All Saints had its church, but also its rectories, its clergy residences, how what decisions were made to purchase pieces of land, to sell them, all the while sort of thinking of the questions of who was here on this land, and who has been dispossessed of the land, and who was excluded from this land over the time from 400 years ago to here now. So this has been a sort of 2-year research journey, not just looking through books and academic articles, so that was part of it, but also building relationship with local representatives of our local Tongva tribes, and going through the archives here at All Saints as well, looking through old vestry minutes and yearbooks. I'm trying to get a sense of all the decisions that took place to bring us here today. And after that research journey, we've been busy writing that up and kind of compiling all that information so that this year we can now start telling that story to all of you. There is a written report that will eventually go up on the website, but sort of our initial communication of that story to you will be in a Rector's Forum coming up in March, at the end of March, March 26th. Please be there for us to basically tell that story all the way through. At quite a high level, because there is a lot of it, and 45 minutes is not actually very long, but hopefully that would just be the beginning of then this entire community kind of really diving deep into that story and what it means, and then inviting the vestry to really deeply consider those next steps that Mike talked about. How do we then go about mending those relationships that have been broken? So stay tuned, keep an eye out for updates. Thank you.
And again, this is primarily a relational process, and I hope some of you were able to see the forum we had with Edgar Perez, who is a member of the Tongva Nation, and he has been so helpful, and other people on the tribal council. And this is the gift. The gift of all of this is restored and renewed and healed relationship. It would not be a church meeting if there wasn't a technical glitch somewhere. Steve Williams is traveling this morning. He has so wonderfully co-chaired the Telling the Whole Story group on our iconography and stained glass windows. He recorded a really great sort of 5-minute piece that we could not get the sound to work on. So we will post his piece online. And I want to just give you, because I know there's a lot of interest around that group, and give you an update. And again, that group's work is coming to a close. We're looking at having a forum at the end of April. And then for both of these, we're really going to offer some kind of town hall meetings, chances for us all to come together, listen more deeply, and have conversations. The Telling the Whole Story group on the stained glass window has done incredible work. And sort of a first piece of that is learning the history of the windows that we have. And really just, I want to name Jack Levan, who, of blessed memory, who is no longer with us. He's up in the balcony. And Jack, in his dedication to the archives of this church, did so much incredible work, cataloging and figuring out and really just communicating the history of those windows. So a lot of that work was already done for us by Jack and other predecessors. A second piece of that has been the impact. What is one of the things that we notice, and this is what prompted this, is when we look at our stained glass windows, all the faces are white. They do not represent the diversity either of this community or of God's beloved community. And that has an impact. It has a psychological and a spiritual impact on all of us. The Racial Justice Ministry did an amazing, amazing presentation on the psychological and spiritual impact of the color of faces that we see in iconography, if that's all that we see. We've been listening to the stories of everyone, of how have these windows impacted us? How has the iconography impacted us? And then the committee is going to report to the vestry, and we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to hold the history, and we're going to hold the story up to our values. And we're going to say, how can our worship space represent the congregation that we are becoming, and that God is calling all of us to be? Because we deeply want to be that place where everyone who walks into that space can say, I feel like I belong here. I feel like I can see myself here, where I can look around me and the space says those words that mean so much to us. God dwells in you. And so this work, and I just am so thankful to all the people who have worked on it for the past 2 years. At the end of March, you're going to be hearing the initial report from the land group. At the end of April, the initial report from the stained glass window group. And then the fun begins, because we get to talk about what do we do and how do we more fully become God's beloved community. I now have a really wonderful opportunity, and that is to reintroduce to you someone who has served wonderfully as your junior warden for the past year. And I am so thrilled to say will now serve as your senior warden for the coming year. And that is Riso Worthy-Deemer.
First, I want to thank our rector for his boundless support, compassion, and energy. Thank you, Mike, so much. My deep appreciation goes to you and Julianne as I take on the role of senior warden. There are no easy answers in this era when we're dealing with profound questions regarding the church's future. The work of strategic direction and to tell the whole story that Tony and Hannah and eventually Steve beautifully articulated are some of the components of the exciting challenges we have ahead of us. Work that ensures a future for all God's children by offering an environment where they can spiritually, emotionally, and physically thrive. These tasks, combined with the generational work needed to end white supremacy culture that has embedded itself into our systems, and ensuring our church building and infrastructure receive the critical repairs needed, including plumbing, seismic strengthening, roof and air condition repair. 2023 is our centenary year, when our present-day church began construction. With God's help, we are tackling these refurbishments and catching the vision of designing and creating new spaces that make our church buildings functional and relevant. As we address these required refurbishments, we will ensure our viability into and beyond the 21st century. Additionally, we will continue partnering with the city and Union Station to provide our Safe Haven program assistance for our unhoused siblings. We will lean into Jesus' central message of compassion and respect for the dignity of every human being. Our Community Care Alliance and Pastoral Care Health and Healing Ministries will continue to offer an array of programs for healing and support. We will continue using our forums as education and community engagement platforms. Our work breathes life into our 4 values of radical inclusion, courageous justice, joyful spirituality, and ethical stewardship. Finally, we will work tirelessly to strengthen and expand the work of CYF and continue to embrace our transgender community that heals and creates resilience from life and soul-crushing harm. Our present and future is beloved community, lived out in real time. We center ourselves in the all-powerful presence of God through our spiritual practice, worship, and community. This is a lot, and it's challenging to feel optimistic with such a laundry list of complexities and to-dos. However, we have the camaraderie of our faith community. We have a trustworthy vestry that works transparently and ethically. We have a faithful and dedicated clergy and staff. So while applauding is excellent, keep those pledges coming so we can show our staff and clergy the love by receiving the salaries and benefits packages they deserve. It is the best time in the history of humanity to be alive, a time pregnant with possibility and hope. We are a people of faith that have a rare opportunity to dig deep and keep working together, from infants to the greatest generation, to embrace the risk joyfully and set the course for All Saints Church now and into the future. Thank you.
we have time for maybe one or two questions, and I know Keith's going to have to hightail it out. Are there just any? Monique Thomas, can we get her a microphone? Here you go.
One that doesn't work.
You got it.
Okay, it's on. Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. I have a question for Tony about strategic direction. Do we know what kind of metrics we're going to use to measure even the beginning, or is that something that the subgroups will be coming up with?
It's something that subgroups will have to come up with, yeah. I mean, I think the metrics have to be tied to the nature of the actual activity and what we're trying to accomplish, so they'll be customized in that regard, but they definitely will exist if it have anything to do with it.
It will exist. Other questions? Anyone? Okay. Well, we are going to get ourselves into church. We're going to say, everyone turn a wave to everybody online. Good to see you all. And we will see you in church for the continuation of this meeting and Mardi Gras celebration. Thank you all so much.